You might have seen this screenshot floating around. Well, sorry to say, it is a Photoshop. Here's the actual mind-boggling effect from the original article. You might be surprised to learn that it's a screenshot from a FromSoftware game. Welcome to Meme Minutes with Jenna Stoeber. This is the fuller-length version of my Meme Minute series. You can find the shorter and also narrower version of this video on YouTube Shorts or TikTok. This screenshot came from the August 1994 edition of Electronic Gaming Monthly in an article detailing the Tokyo Toy Show. The article is hyping up the PlayStation's launch, comparing it to the Sega Saturn and Nintendo's Project Reality, the prototype code or dead name of the Nintendo 64. The original image comes from King's Field, the first video game by FromSoftware. Why did I say it like that? Well, because up until this moment, FromSoftware had been making accounting software, which is probably why their UI looks like this. In fact, they were still making accounting software after having released 2 Armored Core games. For all I know, they're still making accounting software. King's Field was a launch title for the PlayStation, and it's one of the earliest 3D RPGs for a console. The franchise had 4 entries and a level editor called Sword of Moonlight, not to be confused with the Moonlight Sword. Demon's Souls was considered a spiritual successor to King's Field, and later a spiritual predecessor to Dark Souls. And if you follow the spiritual family tree long enough, it probably means you're playing Elden Ring. Modern readers think of mind-boggling as a synonym for photorealistic. If you opened up a gaming magazine today, you'd be in an alternate reality where gaming magazines still existed. And if you saw the phrase mind-boggling within, it would probably be in reference to how realistic the graphics of the next Deus Ex game are. When King's Field was released, its graphics were mind-boggling. These skeletons are in 3 dimensions. That is a roughly 33.3 increase in dimensions. Up till then, the only way you could see that is if you looked at any real skeleton. King's Field's first-person exploration was aided by their volumetric shadows, which at the time was still a graphical feat of engineering. Hallways recede into darkness, concealing some surprisingly familiar FromSoftware enemies. Impressively, King's Field also didn't have loading screens, and the way FromSoftware managed that was by making your walk speed really slow. So the game just had time to load in the next map portion before you got to it. Well, it's still kind of impressive when you consider that most modern games can't manage that, and they have significantly higher processing power. But the secret truth behind this caption is that the EGM employee that wrote it hadn't even played King's Field. Chris Johnston, now a game developer himself, was only 17 when his editor gave him a stack of Tokyo Toy Show tapes to turn into a layout.
Our editor-in-chief would go to a show, collect materials and have footage, and just give it to an editor who didn't go to that show to write up. So that was what happened here. So all of these images are screen grabs off of a videotape.
The image you're currently looking at on your computer or phone is a screenshot of a scan of a magazine that printed a still from a VHS tape of a recording of a CRT TV screen. That's like trying to paint the memory of a butterfly's dream described to you only through a tin can telephone. It's mind-boggling that we can even tell these are skeletons.
That was something that I wrote, and I had to do that because I have to come up with a caption for this image. Yeah. And I wasn't there at the show. I didn't know anything about this. I was just going off the literature and the visuals that I saw.
In the end, this caption was just another day's work. I think Johnston was probably a lot like these skeletons, only thinking about his deadline.